but having recovered from that disappointment, they're now just one game away from achieving their ultimate goal. So, the playoff final awaits. One spot in League Two awaits. Ashton Gate and supporters await. These three cannot wait. Chris Hargreaves, Aaron McLean and Grant Holt. Welcome, fellas. Chris, first things first, I'm delighted we got this far. It's been some season, really, from the highs and the lows. We've finally made it to the final hurdle.
Yeah, absolutely has. I think, you know, at times we didn't know this would happen, and you have to give a lot of credit to the clubs, all of the clubs that have managed to keep focused, keep the players fit, keep believing it's going to happen, and for these two clubs in particular, such a huge day. So momentous for the fans, but the one thing you've got to do if you get here is win it.
Well, yes, indeed, and that's because it's such a crossroads, isn't it? To get to this point is one thing, but you're now either, and we shouldn't say this, covering the division, you're either condemned to another year in the National League, or you make this great step. And these two teams in particular feel that they belong above.
Yeah, well, being ex-league clubs, you know, they both feel that they should be in the Football League. And, you know, I've been at this stage before and been on the wrong end of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I know exactly what that feels like. And that is not a feeling any of these players will want to experience today, because, like you say, the hard work that you put in throughout the season, you get to this point and it's just that one last push. You know, can you push your team over the line? And, you know, the team that comes here today and is able to play the football that they've played that's got them to this position, if they can do that, then, you know, it makes for a great game either way.
And obviously this tough year for everybody, Grant's been about what the players, the owners, the managers have been through, but the fans as well have waited so long to get this chance. You look at Hartlepool fans queuing up through the night in midweek to get the few tickets that were available. That's what it means.
Absolutely. Last year, the final, we thought that was it. The term was finished. We're going back to normal. It wasn't. And it's just great to see them back. Actually, even driving here today, obviously, the journey down, pulling the car park, seeing the fans running around and the excitement on their faces. He was obviously up a lot earlier than me to get that makeup on, I'll tell you that for sure. But it's just fantastic to see them here, and it brings something. We said last week, the games that we've seen already in the playoffs, obviously normally it's been one set of fans, but to have the diversity, it's 3,000 each, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, well, they will have been literally like gold dust this week, won't they? And yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory stuff, really. And they've both worked awfully hard to get here. Torquay had to wait, obviously, with the week in between, courtesy of finishing in the top two, but they were good value in a real roller coaster against Notts County.
Absolutely, yeah. It was such a good game, wasn't it? You know, it was there at the end for both teams.
Yeah,
but we discussed the game, didn't we? I mean, obviously, Danny Wright, there was a big story coming back, and he wasn't sure. I spoke to him in the week. He wasn't sure whether he was going to be fit or not. But both teams gave it absolutely everything, and it swung a couple of ways. Again, here, it's just a real cool finish. And this shows how important he is to the team. It was, you know, it was one where we weren't sure how Torquay would react, having had that 2 weeks off. Whereas Notts County had played an extra game.
Yeah.
But in the end, it was just that sort of resilience to get going, didn't they?
That's still not a penalty,
No, it's not. No, it's not, but he put it away.
Team Moxie wasn't going to miss the chance to wrap it up.
Yeah, on the balance of play, I think they deserved the win, albeit, you know, it's sad for Notts County, such a big club with such expectation. And those, essentially, those four teams left in was such old historic Football League clubs that all of them deserve it, but only one can, unfortunately, go up.
Well, indeed, and a different kind of win for Hartlepool at Stockport.
Yeah, and they managed the game really well because, you know, Stockport started off on the front foot.
They did.
And, you know,
if that goes in...
Exactly, it's a totally different game.
Yeah.
But they managed it really well. And then once they started to get a foothold in the game, you had Liddell stepping out from the back, you had Featherstone just starting to control things, and then you always fancied that if Oates got a chance, you know, he had a couple of sighters early on, and you knew if he got a chance, then he was going to make the difference.
He'd had a couple of sighters, hadn't he? So you kind of knew if you kept giving him chances.
He hadn't learned the lesson. That was the trouble. And I think it was a masterclass. I said at the game, Dave Chalner was absolutely fantastic. Game plan was absolutely spot on. From the first whistle, like you said, stepping in centre halves, moving them around. And then it's got the measure of Stockport. And when you need that little bit of quality, that man there steps up, and so we'll talk about why he's not in the team of the year a little bit later on.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because obviously having got to this point in the season, there's the much debated team of the season that, we've got one from the National League, We've got one from our own Adam Virgo. Frankly, both are probably wrong. But rather than me, as usual, laying into Virgs myself, why don't I let Adam Summerton do it for me? Boys under the brollies, all yours.
Yeah, the Wallies with the brollies. I thought you